Hi, welcome to Control Talk Now, your smart buildings videocast and podcast for the week ending July 3rd, one day before the 4th, one day before Independence Day. And we are talking all things smart building controls, HVAC controls. If it's got a C in it and it's G-rated, we're talking about it. So with that, let me introduce my co-host, the man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only, you guessed it. His name is Kenny Smyers, that controls guy from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Kenny, welcome to the show. Big dog.
Well, thank you very much, Eric. What an enormous introduction. Who is this guy?
I tell you what, man, I watched Rocky too many times when I was growing up, big dog. What can I say? What can I say?
Oh,
but
dear.
Hey, man, Kenny, look, you looking a little younger today, man. What's going on, man? You look like you're back from the 70s again. You got the green bell bottoms on underneath the screen there?
No, actually, I have shorts on, but you must be referring to the Billy Joel concert I was telling you about. We waited to the very last minute, and then we decided to go down to the Billy Joel concert. It was an incredible summer night. At first, it rained. It was a punishing rain, and anybody out in the rain get their day ruined because it just dumped water, and then the winds, and then it's all passed through. So we were fortunately in a restaurant and watched it from the window, and went to the Billy Joel concert, had seats about 30 yards from the stage. Big mistake, don't sit in front of the speakers. That's why I feel young, because I can't hear a thing. I still have a headache to prove it, because we were very close. What a talent. I mean, I didn't know how big Billy Joel was. I mean, he's like a Frank Sinatra or the famous people from the old days, but he's the sixth largest entertainer of all time, sold 125 million albums. And then he really was entertaining. I mean, they did AC/DC, Highway to Hell, the guy from, what's his name, Chainsaw or something. And then he had Kenny Chesney's playing tonight at PNC Park. So he came out and did a guest appearance. I mean, it was just unbelievable. It was entertaining, 2.5 hours. And it was about 80 degrees, so it was just a beautiful summer night. So just, but my head's still ringing from the dang speakers. I just always forget, never pick seats in front of the speakers.
I'll tell you what, guys like Frank Sinatra and Billy Joel, man, they make guys like us seem not so bad, right? I mean, so all you young guys out there, we're all talking about you being in the industry, but hey, man, remember, Ken Sinclair is Frank Sinatra, the leader of the Backnet Pack. Kenny and I don't think we've come up with our names yet. We're not quite that old yet, but I don't know, man. We'll come up with something along those lines. But hey, I think Billy Joel's coming to Atlanta. We might have to catch that concert.
Highly recommend it.
Yeah,
highly recommend it. In fact, I was just looking through his biography, and he sold 150 million records over the past quarter century, and he's ranks as the most popular, one of the sixth most popular recording artists in entertainment history. That's incredible, isn't it?
Oh, it really is, Kenny. It really is. So listen, I got a new version of the streaming software we use here, so I'm playing around with it today. So, dude, I tell you what, you won't be able to see this till we actually get it up on YouTube on Monday, like everybody else. But I'll just say for our audience out there, Kenny's going to be pretty impressed because this is kind of like our version of the black and white album, right? So you'll know what that means, Kenny, when you see it. Our audience is hearing this for the first time will know exactly what I'm talking about. But Kenny, I tell you what, man, big stuff going on. First of all, Controltrends Awards are right around the corner. And as part of that, we want to welcome 2 more platinum sponsors that are going to be, quote unquote, the sponsors of this show. So we'd like to welcome our friends from Johnson Controls that have come on as a platinum sponsor again, Chris Eichmann and the crew up there. Johnson does a great job. We'll be talking about one of their products a little bit later in the show. And then our friend Gary Weber from Belimo, Kenny, Belimo Energy Valve, the Belimo Valves and Actuators. Belimo has been around for a while. As a matter of fact, Warner Buck, the guy that really sort of got Belimo off the ground, might have been the founder of Belimo, Kenny, actually was the first inductee into the Controltrends Awards Hall of Fame. So we had quite a history with Belimo at Controltrends. So again, Kenny, without enlightened companies like our platinum sponsors, Controltrends Awards wouldn't happen. And I think it's such an important event. And I think people like Chris and Gary Weber and Lars Vonderhagen and the rest, everybody that's a sponsor, from Mike Marston, Eugene Mazzo, all realize just how important it is to the industry and what a great night it is. So for our viewers who might be tuning in for the first time, Kenny, why don't you just give them a thumbnail of what the Control Trends Awards are all about?
Certainly. You and I met a while ago, I think it was 2012, and we had something in common. We both came from family businesses, and we both were recognizing that some of the biggest names in the business were retiring, and it was such a silent day. Nobody made a big deal, and these guys were true heroes and superstars of our industry. And you mentioned Warner Park, who basically changed the industry. It was a paradoxical, or is it, what do you call it? The change when you have a change in you call it.
It's almost like a paradigm shift, huh?
It was a paradigm shift. He went from the foot-mounted actuators to the direct coupled actuators. And I remember the first time we saw it, we all kind of smirked and said that's never going to work. Come on, and who would give up these big mod motors? And it was just like we couldn't break through see the other side of this equation. And he just was determined. And here they came up. I think they still maintain a 60% domination of direct coupled actuator market. But so we had heroes that were leaving the industry, and not even a watch and a kick in the butt out the door. So we were recognizing these great things being done here. We thought, wouldn't it be cool if we had a Hall of Fame, and wouldn't it be cool if we actually recognize these people for the incredible work that they do and how they've actually changed our ways of life. We live in first world countries because we can push air and water through a building and bring air conditioning to the southern states. Back in the 1910s, you couldn't even go to the movies in New York City because it was 100 degrees inside or 120 degrees. So air conditioning, the big changes they made. So we talked about how we would slowly but surely take little bites of this elephant and present a Control Trends award show and then a Hall of Fame. And it was a concept, and we pushed hard, and we got some great support at the right time. And next thing you know, we're putting on a show every year. This year's show is going to be, or 2016 is going to be celebrated in January 2017, January 29th in Las Vegas at the Hard Rock Cafe in Las Vegas, right off the Strip. And it's going to be an amazing show. And we will have the opportunity to recognize the true heroes and superstars of our industry, and the people that do all the work, the heavy lifting, the support, the product managers. It gives everybody a chance to get involved and have one night where we have like a Hollywood scheme, Hollywood format.
Right. Well, Kenny, I think you're right about that, man. I think the Hollywood format is really sort of the key piece with it, meaning that it's a good time. So we have the show. I mean, you'll walk the red carpet. I think probably the coolest thing for me, Kenny, is when people call up after the show and we'll obviously capture all this in video format. When people after the show will call me up and go, hey, my wife and kids think I'm cool again. They saw the video of me on the red carpet or somebody winning the award. But then afterwards, we got an open bar. And dude, that is so cool because with the open bar, we have at least 45 minutes to an hour where you get to catch up with everybody in the industry. And I think last year was our best show. We're planning on having this year be even better. So definitely, if you're interested, we're going to get into sort of all we saw the last couple of weeks, and so many new players coming into the industry, Kenny. So if you're a new player, want to get involved with the Control Trends Awards, if you're in the controls business, everybody's welcome. And if you want to be a sponsor of Control Talk Now, the Smart Buildings videocast and podcast, pretty much the only way to do that right now is becoming a platinum sponsor. But the value is just unbelievable. You'll get full meal, open bar. You'll get between 10 and 20 tickets. Plus, you'll get a year's worth of sponsorship on the Control Trends website. Plus, you'll get to sponsor these shows. So it's doing a good thing for the industry. And at the same time, people are telling us it's probably the best value they get for their marketing bucks. So with that, Kenny Smyers, it's Independence Day, baby. And if you think about that, put that in perspective, wow. I mean, a couple hundred years ago, a bunch of people over here were getting a little dissatisfied with the way things were, right? And decided they wanted to do things differently, right? They weren't going to be sort of oppressed anymore by systems that didn't allow them to do what they wanted to do. So what did they do, Kenny Smyers? We just started a whole new country. So it's not not completely unlike what you and I've been sort of seeing going on in the controls industry for a while with the advocate of open protocols and open systems and the owners sort of demanding that and consulting engineers that if you're not open and we don't have choices, because if you think at the heart of independence, Kenny, is choice. So if you don't have choices, we're not going to take it. So what are your thoughts on that, buddy?
Well, let me commend you on your analogy, taking the 4th of July Independence Day and liking it to the open systems for building automation systems. I see it, man. It's a nice analogy. But, you talk about the ability to see where we were, say, like 1993 or 4, whatever, kind of like the DDC market, to me, awoke around 1991. I think we got involved in 1993. So here we are in 2016. We've actually changed, it became a long way where we didn't understand what open systems meant. We were selling systems and saying they were open long before they were really open. Now that we have an opportunity to do it, and we're seeing the next generation of engineers come on board saying, they won't take anything but open. So like when you say it now, they make a declaration of openness is like the profound opening statement. The systems have to be open. They have to be able to seamlessly integrate a single workstation. So we're seeing a lot of verbiage, and we have a couple of posts that we'll be talking about where engineers are enlightened now. And so it's like, why did it take so long, and is it going to change? Because I believe you're going to go to the next point where we can become so open at this level, at the building, the interior of the building could be open, but then once it gets up in the cloud, you go right back into a proprietary single source humongous company.
Kenny Smyers, let's stop right there, because as you know, you and I were out in Silicon Valley, and we're going to talk a lot about this week. And, there were a lot of people we met out there that we didn't really know from before, right? I mean, Intel, Cisco, Google, Dell, Apple, they've been showing up for a while, but we had even
Microsoft.
More players that are showing up. So, so just to sort of expand upon open, all those things you said, open protocol, single workstation, but the big thing is multiple people being able to work on it. So a customer can have access to the same programming tools. He's not getting locked out with programming tools, or she's not getting locked out with programming tools. Multiple integrators can work on it. So that's the level of choice we're talking about. But my question for you, Kenny Smyers, all these new players that are coming into the market, that kind of dwarf our industry by comparison. I'm talking about the controls industry, not necessarily the HVAC industry. Are they going to play by the same rules, buddy? Or are they looking for that edge, that differentiator? Are they just going to suck us all right up to their little platform and then lock us all out again?
I think that's inevitable. I think you're going to have an opportunity for the big people, like you mentioned, IBM, Cisco, Dell, Microsoft, Google, Apple. If they can get to the that iOS level, or they can get to the systems level where they dictate, in order to be able to put something into a building or house, you have to be able to, tie into their OS or iOS or whatever you want to say. Android and iOS, Apple, or to me, are the ones that are just making it so unbelievably desirable to have your total home, and then of course your total building. But you can't use, the choice, the best in breed components. You can only buy their components, is what's going to boil down to. So you have we had two instances at the Realcomm Ivicon show. One gentleman said that protocols were dead, and the other guy said that that he considered BACnet and Modbus and all these other OPC and some of the other major protocols used in the industry to be one-off single source. So our version of open was contested by another person's view that BACnet isn't open. BACnet is a proprietary protocol of its own nature, because if you don't know how to do BACnet, equipment manufacturers are forced to put BACnet in there, and they don't want to. So I thought that was kind of like revealing that we think we understand the context and what the connotative definition of open is, and to somebody else it's not open. So, but I think anybody in this business that can do the complete slam dunk is going to try it. And it'd be an awful event that if we did all this work and got open systems working at our level, finally can integrate equipment, all the silos came down within the building. We get to that point, and then it goes up in the cloud, and you only have one choice. And then they're going to start dictating from the cloud down how you're going to come to the cloud. So,
well, you know what we say about that? we'll fight you from the edge, man, because after the independence, we declared our independence. We had a big war, right? So we'll fight you from the edge if we have to. But Kenny and I were out. I think we got to start the show, Kenny, with sort of our impressions of Realcomm Ibicon. We were out in San Jose last week, and I tell you what, Kenny, what a fantastic show. If you listen to Control Talk, you know that we talk about this show a lot. Jim Young, Howard Berger, Lisa Woods put this event on every year. It's where real estate and technology intersect. And it's probably the best show ever because, you know, you're out there with the greatest technology, but then you got customers that are buying the technology that are right there that are basically discussing and telling you what they need, what they want. And you know, you talk to some of our customers that were out there, I mean, they're picking up great leads. It's just a marvelous show. But Kenny, what were some of your thoughts on the show, big dog?
Well, exactly what you said. It's the intersection of supply and demand. You know, the owners and the people that actually buy the things that we sell and everybody else is trying to sell are at the show telling you how they want it served up to them. That is incredible. I mean, this is the fourth Realcomm that I've been associated with and been to. Actually, the third. I missed last year, but I still kept on top of it and did a lot of reading and writing on it. But the people that really and truly run buildings were on stage saying that you guys aren't getting us yet. You're still coming to us trying to put a square peg in a round hole, and we're saying, shave the edges off that square and make it round like we asked you to, and we can do business with you. And so I don't think it could get any better than that because you're getting the vital you know, information that you should be making your strategic decisions. You know, everything you're preparing a solution or product or whatever. If it's not what the customer really truly wants, then you should make those changes. And the only way to get that is to get the feedback. Like surveys are becoming just so often. If you do anything, buy a ticket for an airplane or get a hotel room, you got to do survey. So here is like the ultimate testimony. You know, the customer's telling you what they want, and to miss that is to miss out on a great opportunity to really truly hone in on what the people want right here, right now.
I tell you what, it's interesting, Kenny, and I think it's catching hold. I think, you know, it's spreading out from Realcomm Ibicon. The real estate agents are real estate folks are, I think, letting their people know. We had a person give us a call last week that was in a situation where he had part proprietary, part open. The customer that had the contractor that had the proprietary part is telling this guy, well, you got to go back and you got to do it this way. He calls us because he watches Control Talk, and I guess he also you know, is part of the Realcomm Ibicon. Invited us in and said, hey, look, I want to get your guys' opinion on this before we do anything. So I think that one of the messages we're seeing, you know, and again, sort of tying this all together, is that the customers are becoming very, very educated. They want open, and open for them basically means choice. They do not want to be locked into one person, one brand. They want it to be single-seated, and they want to have multiple people that can come in and do it. So I think, you know, at our level, the building automation control side, I think that has taken hold. It's a little bit like after you're independent, you don't go back unless there's a major catastrophe, and it'll be interesting to see how the rest of it shakes out. But talking about shaking out, Kenny, I know we did this last week. Let's talk a little bit about last week's Control Talk Now show, because that was probably one of the most fun ones we've ever done. And I think we had some of the best guests we've ever had all at the same time. So what was your take on last week's Control Talk Now?
Well, it was a fabulous opportunity to get to capture the takeaways that from different perspectives, I thought. So you and I was tired. I remember sitting outside there and the wind was blowing, kicking up, and it just felt so refreshing that we're finally off our feet for 2.5 days of walking around and doing things. It takes its toll on you. So we're sitting there, and then we had Mark Peacock come in, and Mark's always, he's got a great perspective on things. He's been in the industry forever, and he was excited that there was so much went on, and that the innovation that we saw firsthand was impacting the people. So it was a very successful show for many people because they were saying how they got some great leads, they got some great insight, they networked, and they're going to start. This company is going to merge with this company, or not to merge, corporately, but their product solutions were very synergetic, and they didn't realize how if they put these two together, they could generate a whole new market. Particularly, we were talking about cybersecurity. They talk about water. So we had Tom Shirtcliffe, we had Sean Clan. We had
Jeff
Haupt.
Haupt.
Jeff Haupt, so he's a contractor, and he's brilliant in his own right.
Well, he's more than a contractor, dude. Like you say, he is probably one of the quintessential systems integrators.
Yeah. Massive systems, and because again, he told us it was so interesting because I had issues going on. I asked him, what would you do in this particular case, and he actually had just, here's what we do, here's how we do this. And I'm thinking, wow, this guy's already done it numerous times, and they're doing jobs. We've changed out 100 JACEs. We're upgrading from R2 to Niagara 4 now, and so they're big, and but I just really appreciated how he viewed things. Weren't the same way we view it, because we're channel people. We're two-step distribution. We see things kind of from our perspective. So we had a manufacturer, an OEM, Mark Peacock. We had an integrator, master systems integrator, on the highest order, highest magnitude, and then we had people from intelligent buildings that are the consultants that actually help focus, the new technologies into each building, regardless of its size or the particular nature of the customer. They are major league consultants. So to have that brain trust there, and then to have their opinions all being shared in the same shows, like you said, it was just it was incredibly powerful, because it's very difficult to get this kind of people together in any right, because they're just from different points of view and different customer sets, and they don't really work in the same market. So it was a great opportunity to hear firsthand the different views from a manufacturer, an integrator, and then the people that do the consulting. So great show.
Well, it was a great show. And then we got Mark Peacock was our host and did a fantastic job. And Kenny, was it like just cool as the dickens? We were sitting outside. The weather in San Jose was just phenomenal. We're all kind of exhausted, but everybody had a beer or so. And I think actually, I can't say that about Tom Shirtlift and Sean, because I didn't see him, but Jeff had a beer from AI, Automated Integrator, which, by the way, Kenny, he is going to be in town July 7th. They've got a piece of software that you and I saw at the Niagara Summit, and we're going to actually endeavor to get that live stream so that our community can see it all at the same time. At the very least, we will record it and post it on Controltrends. But what was your take sort of on his piece of software that he came up with, his interface?
I think it's going to be the sign of the times, the coming trends. That'll be something that we're all going to want to get a hold of, because it just simplifies something that right now is pretty challenging, pretty difficult. It just helps you. It creates a different level of service, and again, we always talk about the remote assistance. You can't be everywhere at the same time. So they actually have the ability to suck up all the job information, all the points informations. You can create different dashboards, different presentations to different, the C-level people. The operating officer wants to see this. The finance guy wants to see this. The CEO wants to see this. So they create different sets of information almost instantly. And then for service, it's just going to make it extraordinarily beneficial to have their system, because you'll see it go down before it goes down. You'll know that you got to go out there and make a service call. You know exactly what to take, because you'll have the analytics, you'll have the information, and you'll know before the customer does what's going on. So it's just for supervisory solution or application, it's incredible.
Well, yeah, Kenny, and I'm not doing it justice, but this is why I really encourage you guys to tune in. We will post, the live stream on the 7th. If we get that going, which we should. But Kenny, I tell you what, I don't think either you and I can do it justice what it does, because at one level, you're using your smartphone and you're going and you're taking the QR codes off of every piece of equipment or whatever, so that now you can interface that in with videos or spec sheets or whatever. So your service guy in the field can have that information right there. And as near as I can tell, Kenny, it is a platform that you can build on, right? So if you're doing service business and you want to be able to keep up with what your guy's doing, what the equipment's doing, like you say, it can become predictive, but it allows you to pull all that data in so that you can deploy your service people more efficiently, right? That's one piece of it. And then also so that you can provide your customer with more information. And again, I'm not doing it justice either. You and I were, and I think everybody in the room was just blown away by it, right?
I'm on the website right now, and it's like you say, it's been tested now. I think it's just coming out for actual available. They're going to start selling it. So they're talking about customizable performance dashboards and the mobilized field tech apps, where you're going to be able to see on one piece of, one single seat, you can see a performance dashboard that can do accounting and payroll, sales and marketing, and service operations, run your field technicians, run your customer, your customer management programs, and a visualization. So it's all a single enterprise database. And you're right, it's going to be something. And I think what's going to happen is it's going to really impact all of our industries at the same time. There's something in it for everybody. In other words, if you're a distributor and you sell solutions, you're going to want to sell this because it's a recurring revenue. Like Honeywell says too. They're going to start putting stuff into the controllers that when people try these things out, they're going to like them so much that they're going to be willing to pay a small amount of money monthly to keep that service performance level that connected, to be so connected into their systems. So we're just seeing the innovation is incredible because we're seeing it start out, wide berth, and now it's coming down into very specific applications that make sense in the HVAC world. So it's going to be
no, it really does. And then I think it's a reoccurring revenue for you if you're an integrator, right? Because you can charge your customer for this service. But I think it's going to be a great piece of software, both for the integrators and for mechanical contractors and for service contractors. So I encourage you, if you're in the business listening, definitely check with us on Tuesday. We are Thursday, the 7th. Jeff Haupt from AI will be in automation integration, and those guys are sharp. They were co-winner of the Systems Integrator of the Year award last year, along with Hepta Systems. So good stuff. Hey, buddy, I've got our friend Anthony Bronzo that we knew from the Control Pal days. I got hold of him last week. We were talking a little bit. And dude, I got the perfect gift for Rita to give you, right? So, because we saw the Drone Master out at Realcomm Ibicon last year, but Anthony was telling me there's a little, they call it not a lollipop, but it's a little drone that'll fit in your hand. It has a video camera on it, right? And
Nice.
essentially you wear a bracelet, talking about wearable technology, you wear a bracelet and it follows you around. You have no control over it, but other than I think you can directionally have it go in front of you, behind you, or circle around, but it videos you the whole time, right? So, I mean, I don't know if that's a real good use for our industry. I think drones are. We've talked about that in the past, but how cool would that be? Because I know you're a big surfer and all. You're out surfing and, you got this drone following you around on the wave and all that kind of stuff. That could be pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, you're the surfer, dude, not me. I'm allergic to water, especially salt water. No, I don't know about that. That seems to me, you talk about Big Brother. You'd be putting Big Brother on your own shoulder.
Well, no, but it's yours. It's yours. I mean, obviously you could hack it, right, if you wanted to. But if you run into hacking, you just talk to a guy like our buddy Tom Shurtleff, who I'm showing on screen right now. Tom was intelligentbuildings.com out of North Carolina. These guys are all over. They deal with cybersecurity. But, Kenny, you're right. It could be another cybersecurity leak. But you know what? I don't know, man.
Well, the GoPro things, we do have a surfer in the family. Actually, my daughter and her husband, Brendan and Sabrina, love surfing. He's a good surfer. He's a skier. He's a snowboarder. And he's recovering from bone spurs removal from his ankle, but he is an incredible skier. He's the first person I've ever seen jump up on a board and actually, do the Hawaiian surfing thing. It's pretty cool. But
well, I tell you what, Kenny,
he uses GoPros.
Yeah.
Trying to get it.
Well, see, he'd love this because the GoPro, I mean, you could have the big thing, but you have to basically have a drone pilot to control it, right? This thing will just follow him around. So I'll get the info on that, buddy, so you can check it out. Maybe be a good gift for him. And I tell you what, I'll start surfing the day that the sharks are all out of the water. What about you?
I think my surfing days, they never were. That just never appealed to me. Boats are okay. I'll go out in the ocean in a boat, but surfing, oh my gosh, my daughter and I came down the Highway 1, the Pacific Coast Highway, went through Big Sur, and we came out in Malibu, and there's a famous surfer restaurant there that we ate. It was incredible. But the old surfboards they had on the walls, and my God, these things were big wooden planks. If it fell down, if it hit you on top of the head, it'd knock you out. But they were like small wooden platforms. They weren't surfboards like you see now. They're real slick and they're like fish looking. These things were old, polished wood. Looked like a tabletop. I swear. And then they showed them surfing, and they were incredible.
Oh,
I mean, but
that sport takes a lot of skill. But hey, Kenny, let me just ask you a question. Which thermostat manufacturer do you think will be the first one to have one of these little baby drones that flies around your units? Will it be like the Honeywell Lyric, perhaps?
Yeah, I would say that Honeywell is really getting into this home system thing, and I think if you can't beat them, you join them, and that's where you come in with Apple, iOS, and then your Android. Honeywell's Lyric thermostat is incredible, and you did a good post on it. And basically, our next post is Honeywell Lyric redefining what thermostat can do, because this is really, really cool now, because you can tie everything in your house tied into your iOS. So you're going to use an Android, or what's your pick? Apple?
Oh, definitely Apple. I'm an iPhone guy. I'm an Apple guy.
But I have a lot of friends that are really big on Android.
Me too.
So that's all they can talk about is their total home now. So you can, we've got the Lyric post up where we're doing water detection, so leak detection. We're doing freeze protection. So they actually we're running the you can see it on the screen, the Lyric advertisement for the video that we have on the post. But so it's just basically let you know that you can add water leak detection and freeze detection through your thermostat now. So you're going to be able to really truly monitor and control your house anywhere in the world, any smart device, any computer, any web browser. You can come into your house and just see what's going on.
But more than that, Kenny, you come in your house and see what's going on, but also you don't even have to be at your house to know what's going on, because these things will alert you via phone if you have a leak or a pipe's frozen. I mean, that's a huge piece, especially if you got a vacation home or something like that, right? Think about that.
Absolutely.
And then the other thing is that they have built in is a kind of a cool feature. We've talked a little bit about it in the past, and not everybody has it, but I think Honeywell developed this whole concept of Geo Fencing, which is basically your thermostat knows where you are. Okay. And you and I are both married. So, we kind of think of, people knowing where you are from home is kind of overrated, but maybe it's okay with your thermostat. So it knows if you get within a certain distance to start warming the house up or cooling it down. So that's a pretty cool piece. But these guys, Honeywell's really doing a nice job with the Lyric. Another company that we sell a lot of their thermostats, Kenny, hadn't heard from in a while, Greg Fasalucci and the guys at InTouch 360s come out with a cool thermostat. So we'll endeavor to get those guys on the show, Kenny, to talk to them too. But you got everybody from InTouch to Honeywell, obviously Nest. Tony Fidel still hasn't contacted me, but then again, I guess since Google bought them, he probably doesn't have a lot to do with it. But who else? We got the guys out of Canada, Stuart Lombard. What's the name of his company's name?
Ecobee.
Right. And then
we also have the Schneider.
Yeah.
Wiser
You're getting ready to install one of those. Tell us about your new deal, Kenny. What are you going to be doing here?
Well, we threw it out there.
Hold it up so we can see the picture of it.
Here, this is the actual thermostat. I'm going to be putting this on this week.
Hold it higher, lower.
You see it? Lower?
Yeah, all right, higher, a little bit, right there. Okay, cool.
Boom.
Yeah, boom. That's a good looking stat.
Yeah, it's not much to it, but it's the latest and greatest, and I'm looking forward to putting it on the wall this weekend, because I finally had the time to actually sit down and do something. But we invited people to let us try your stuff out and give you the reviews, and Viconics. Doug Geddick came through and said, "Here, try this one. So tell us what you think." And so
awesome.
That's what I'll do.
Are you going to do a video of your installation, man? Don't you remember several years ago when I videoed myself installing the Nest? My wife Anna
I'm not sure.
held the smartphone when I did it. Now, come on, man. I did the Nest. You got to do it. You got to do it live. You got to do a video of live doing that, man. I'm telling you.
First of all, my wife can't be 100 million yards away from me. She'll watch and tell me I'm doing everything wrong, and she won't even hold the screwdriver or flashlight, but she'll tell me I'm doing it wrong. No, I'm kidding.
Well, why don't you have her install it and you tell her what to do and video it? I think our audience would probably rather see your beautiful wife Rita install the thermostat than you anyway, buddy.
No. Just say no.
Just say no. All right, man. But good stuff there, Kenny Smyers. And I'd say to reach out in comments. And I think we're going to leave the comments up one more week, and then I might just disable them on the website, Because basically the only comments I ever get are either, starlets from Hollywood wanting your phone number, or, just these sort of spam things. I spend a lot of time doing spam. So let us know in comments if you even care about comments, because we can be reached at controltrends@gmail.com. And I think most of the people in the industry know how to get hold of us through LinkedIn and other sources. So should we get rid of comments? That's the question.
Well, it works, or it happens. We've had 2,229 comments.
But 2,020 of those are Hollywood starlets sending me pictures that want to meet you.
Oh, please. No, we get some good ones every once in a while. That's just the thing. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. I think, people just don't have time. If they had voice comments, it might be easier or something. But and then, like you said, people doing the podcast are listening to it, so they don't really have that instantaneous access to the actual feedback comment section. Well,
I think our podcast, and a special shout out to our podcast listeners, because they run about 6 to 7 to 1 over our views on YouTube, and I think maybe it's just the Hollywood starlets that are looking at you. But the guy that could figure this out for us, Kenny, would be Terry Casey from IntelliStar. I mean, he would definitely know what we should do about comments. What do you think of Terry Casey, buddy?
I'll tell you what, Terry Casey's he's just a fabulous mind. When you talk about intelligent people and industry stalwarts, I mean, he's in the top. He's in the handful of just incredible guys that have seen it. He started his own company in England. Here's you, by the way, doing your remote Realcomm was a conference live.
Yeah,
that's you with the fancy microphone there. You did a heck of a job, by the way. I think you were born for that role. And hey, got to give compliments
when they deserve.
But Terry Casey, I've interviewed him several times, and I've read everything he writes. He puts things, industry comments, and he explains things so well. First time I saw him, he was working for Tritium. Then he worked for Pacific Controls. He started his own company over there in England that's still 60% of the market. And he's just able to explain things so well. And now he works for IntelliStar. You talk about a lineup. You talk about a group of who's who all-star team. You call them the what did you call them?
The dream team.
The dream team. So you got Terry Casey. You've got the whole Frank family. You've got Steve Lynch. But you have Jerry, Andy, and Brian Frank. So the brain trust there is incredible, and they're coming up with a new concept. IntelliStar is using the stacks. They're using the InfraStack, which is has all the information or all the features you need to connect, control, analyze, and manage buildings and equipment for the new paradigm. And by the way, the thing I was doing talking about change. Remember how you always used to say about the structure change versus cyclic change?
Right.
We were talking about the direct coupled actuators a half hour ago. That was where I was trying to come from, because it really truly impacted the industry forever. It was like your car taking the place of the horse and buggy, and the computer taking the place of the typewriter. And we never went back. And so it was a structural change. I think that the things that the IntelliStar folks have, they're a little bit ahead of the game. They're still way out there doing big projects, doing the plants, doing the refineries, and they live on the 4G system, so no network issues. They're all about connections, and they're all about tying the facility into the smart grid, and they really can do it. So they've already had numerous successes where they're doing the advanced analytics and the data visualizations for operations in these gigantic plants, and making things grid worthy. So still a little bit to go for our total adoption and acceptance. But we're going to the smart grid. But most of the major players, the areas in the country where the energy is just too important and too valuable to take any chances on. They've already adopted the smart grid and automated demand response. And these guys here at IntelliStar, that's what they're all about. They can really come in, sit things down, and make them work. So it's a very good product. I don't think it's hitting in our building management space as well, and penetration hasn't been in our market as well as they'd like it to be. I think it's in the European markets and again large plants, but I think they're still working hard to get into the commercial space.
Well, I tell you what, Kenny, that would be really cool. Terry Casey's super nice guy, fun guy to interview, knows his stuff. But yeah, the dream team, him, Brian, Frank, Jerry Frank, and I guess there's another Frank brother that I hadn't heard of before. But these guys just really know what's going on. I think you're right. I think they're playing at a much larger scale right now. But definitely keep an eye on these guys. I think they are a harbinger of things to come. And, if they ever decide to race to the small space with the rest of the racers to the small space, watch out, because these guys are formidable. But I like them.
Yeah, well, Terry he's just, like you say, he's a very personable guy, and he's like a professor. He's like you're going to a class when you talk to him, because he has that kind of an interesting, a wry sense of humor, but he's made small fun of some of the people that are making claims that they can do things, and he's real careful what he says, because, you can't oversimplify something like ADR, and I guess people do that all the time. They say they can do things, and then when it really comes down to it, getting that last 100 yards done, there's very few firms that can do that, so that's why I appreciate his style, because he never he speaks softly and carries a big stick, style of selling.
Well, I think he does, buddy. But then I tell you what, it all starts at the center level, right? And who better than our next post to sort of get us educated on sensors? ACI is sort of rocking and rolling, Kenny, now with doing online training. They had their first episode last week. We had posted it on the website to let our people know. It would have been in a version of Ken's calendar, but they did it, and we have reposted it. So if you missed it, you can see it now, right?
Yeah. Well, the guys at ACI are just they make it fun. They make it interesting. You're looking at a small company that's growing. They've doubled since I think 2012 in size, and they just keep getting more products, and those products are becoming very successful because they're no nonsense stuff. They're game changing, styles. So once you start using like the WPR2, the wet differential pressure sensor, as soon as we started using that, one customer bought one, never's bought a different style again, because they're just so easy and so simple and affordable. But they like to tell a story. The ACI people are about the people first. They've won numerous awards for Manufacturer of the Year in Wisconsin. They do very well in Controltrends because everybody knows them. And probably the spokesman, the front person, is in many ways is Barry Gordon.
Excuse me,
Flash.
Barry Flash Gordon, buddy.
That's what I meant. When I call him downtown.
No, you can't call him downtown. He's not downtown Flash Gordon. He's just Barry Flash Gordon. I mean, that's like calling Superman like St. Louis Superman or something like that. No, it's just Superman or Batman.
All right.
Flash Gordon. Barry Flash Gordon.
Barry Flash Gordon it is. Okay. But anyhow, ACI has just a very simple motto. A better sensor solution, and it's contractor perspective. So it's a company-wide philosophy that begins at the engineering teams, goes through sales, technical support, and marketing, and they realize that innovation and communication has to be easy and go hand in hand with the customers' mentalities. And so they just do a good job of making good products and then selling them very well.
Well, I'll tell you what, Kenny, real quick, I think it's a good time for us to reach out and a shout out to our man in India, Samir Pradham, who does Control Trends India. It's controltrends.in. And I know that India looks like the Belimo energy valve's getting some traction on that website, but Samir does a great job for us. So if you want to know what's going on in India, check him out. Again, controltrends.in.
Well, and he's really, he had some good news, and he sent us an email last night, in fact, or 6 hours ago, where he was saying, hey, Ken and Eric, he has Mr. Pankaj Dakar, president of ISRA, which is the equivalent to ASHRAE in India. The chapter has extended an invitation for him to be part of the smart, connected, intelligent building discussion and the foundation of smart cities. The initiative going over in India is just, it's so big and it's gangly huge. It's, billions and billions of dollars to bring 100 cities in India up to smart city standards in some ridiculously short period of time, like 4 years. Probably, it's a little bit overly optimistic, I would think, because they're making great progress. But the panel that Samir's been invited to join is the head of Smart Cities Committee panel. So they're just it's a very lofty position for him to be participate in, because these are the people that are going to be kind of setting the pace and the standards, and it's going to be attended by the guys that's in charge of smart cities, the chairman of Gift City, India's first smart city, the IAB MS consultant from Mumbai, I think it was, and so. Just the big players over in India now are getting down to the actual nitty gritty of setting standards, and so they can accelerate the development and the installations for these 100 smart cities. Which is again, so keeping that updated is fascinating, and Samir's doing a great job. And yeah, please visit controltrends.in because
he rocks and rolls over there. And I tell you what, the interesting thing about Samir is that like you and I are both distributors, so it's kind of like we work in the business instead of observing it from the outside. Samir is one of the premier systems integrators in India, so he has that perspective as well. So, and you know what I always say, Kenny, if you got the rubies, the controls will follow. So, and speaking of that, hey man, our guy Dimitri Papadopoulos, we caught up with him at Niagara 2016. That Johnson Controls FX product line just keeps getting better and better. Tell us a little bit about what you thought about that post.
Well, he's a nice guy too. He really loves his job, and you can sense that when somebody's really proud of what they've been doing and get excited about the new features of a software system. It's kind of like, wow, but he was just saying that they're really excited about the map, the mobile access portal, which offers an excellent display on your iPad or smartphone or laptop. It serves as a great commissioning tool, and it also can be used as a main user interface for smaller size projects. So that's always the key, again, is to have the big, the good, better, best solution, the small, medium, and large application solutions, because many times, we face the issue where we can't get the right size controller. We got to spend, so much money just to get the controller, the software going, that before we put the first point on the network, we've already invested, several thousands of dollars. Well, Johnson has come up with a solution from their Facility Explorer product portfolio that now they can use, especially as a great interface. This map is a great interface for smaller sized project. But they're excited about the Explorer. They had a 10-year anniversary recently, and to celebrate that 10th year anniversary, Johnson released its Facility Explorer 14, featuring a cleaner, faster user experience, enhanced cybersecurity, and new ways to improve user productivity. They've got the N series, the Niagara 8000. They have the Facility Explorer version of that ready to go. And I think at the show, he showed us 14.1. He actually gave us a demo on it. And it's just really, really good stuff. Everybody, Johnson has their share of the market, and they've got an enormous loyal following. And this is good news for them, because they can finally get their, they can get the latest and greatest cybersecurity features, things that they're, very important now at the state of the game. We're facing some of the issues with cybersecurity and hacking and everything else. It's good to get the new stuff out into the market as soon as possible.
No, agreed, Kenny. And I tell you what, if you think about it, when we talk to our clients, I mean, there's always risk reward in everything you do, and I don't think anybody has the perfect solution. I think there are degrees of perfection. And if you think about if you're super risk averse, I mean, you might want to stay with one of the big three. And I think the big three in our industry right now are, Johnson Controls, obviously Honeywell and Siemens. They're three of the biggest companies in the world that do building automation controls. And as such, they will probably always be around.
Well, yeah, you're looking at, a major corporation, $30-40 billion, and, half of that is the building management stuff. But as you can see here, Dimitri, he's just got a smile on his face, and he was really in tuned. So Johnson has not just good products and deep pockets, but they've also got a great sets of technical people. They got great salespeople. The guys that we work with. We work with Mr. Goss here in Western Pennsylvania, and then King Thomas. So just we remember Johnson as being, you're very loyal to their products, obviously, but they're like a fraternity. They're like great guys, and they believe in what they do, and they sell very well. So Johnson is always a very, very, very strong competitor in the building management systems.
And again, they're sponsoring our show today, one of the sponsors, because they are platinum sponsors of the 2016 Controltrends Awards, which will be happening in Las Vegas.
Well, it's another great post. Again, the RealComm conference has just been overwhelming. It's like the fertile environment that show offered still is resonating. And this post is to Ted and Jason Houck, make a big connection at the Real Conference Live. And we all know that Hepta Systems was a co-winner for the Systems Integrator of the Year, and they really have the talent in their organization to move mountains. I saw their booth and went through several of the presentations of what they're doing, and they've got a panel shop now. It's first and foremost of any panel shop I've ever seen. And again, these guys love their jobs. There's no job that they walk away from. They'll take on. They could, if the X-File people or the X spaceship needs people to program the interior of their things, they'll take it on because they love to think problems out. They've got some incredible talent. And but what was your impression of the Alketaki?
The Alketaki. That's a new one, buddy. That's a new one.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I tell you what, these guys, like you say, they're kind of a breath of fresh air. They don't back away from anything, which I think is kind of a cool feature about them. Gotten to know Ted and Jason really well, super sharp. And I think they might be, along with guys like Jeff Haupt, and I know there are a ton of other ones out there we probably have, don't know yet or not mentioning or forgetting. So I apologize in advance to those, but they might be sort of the poster people for what the new Master Systems Integrator looks like. And I think they do a great job in this particular presentation because they're showing live, which was kind of cool, a live demo where they're sort of going in and at their offices, and they're showing everything from people playing ping pong with the video camera to what the heck are they using the Nest thermostat for, dude? I got to talk to them about that. Oh my gosh, they've got a Nest thermostat, but the fact they did it live was cool, Kenny. I thought that took a lot of guts, and I thought that took a lot of guts, and I think that these guys, they're the future, right?
Well, it's like you said. You said other than the military officer, they've won more awards and more badges than anybody you've ever met. Their projects have been, tried and tested. In other words, they won the Summit Award 2014, I believe. They won the Digi Award 2015. They won a Controltrends Award. And they won one other award. And they have a nice banner that they put on the front of their podium, going into their booth at the vendor show. They're just really, really excited about their capability. They've got a tremendous staff, and when you watch the video, come on to Controltrends and watch the video of the Alketaki at the RealComm, and you really get to see an in-depth video of what they can do, the dashboards they have, the analytics they can do. Again, they really believe in a single seat. So they're one of the few companies that can really truly tie in all of your systems.
Right.
Even the fire and security,
and
the
elevators
video,
and
access
stuff
control,
like that. Yeah.
elevators. They said that there's no protocol that they can't work with. They have not found a protocol that they could not write a driver to or do some kind of a gateway from that protocol into their system. So
right.
Again, they love challenges. So
what they do, and Jason was a young gun, and he was also in Detroit. I think he was 30 to watch under the year, age 30 in Detroit. Yeah. So these guys, I think they also understand social media. I think they really realize the importance of you can have the best mousetrap in the world or be the best at something you do, but if nobody knows who you are, you're kind of losing. I think the other thing, Kenny, that I really like about them is that they they'll work with other integrators. Same thing with Jeff Haupt. I think these guys that get to that level, they're looking for other people to partner with in other parts of the world, and so they're more of a co-opetition. What's the word that Ken Sinclair? I never can say. In other words,
you did it.
Yeah,
Co-opetition.
So I think I think they really realize. And Jeff Haupt used a very interesting term. If you saw Controltalk now last week, the guy from Oklahoma City, which is we're in the integrity economy, which basically means that you can't get away with screwing people over. You better do what you say you're going to do, and if you're partnering with somebody, you better not bypass them. If you tell somebody you're going to buy from them, if you they help you out, then you better do it. So I think that we're trading on different currencies these days. I think the enlightened companies like, TED and AI, they realize this. So yeah, obviously price is important, but the other currencies we trade on are relationships, right? I mean, we've talked in the past about how getting in to see somebody, getting access is very, very difficult. So it's almost like the best currency you can trade on is your relationships. So if you can get a guy like Ted Haupt or the guys from artificial intelligence in to see a key customer where they can do a job, that's huge, right? Because they might, so I think the integrity economy is it. And I think what different currencies do we trade on? Obviously, dollars is part of it, but having the competency to be able to do the job right, and then relationships, I think, is another huge currency. And that relationship currency is based on integrity, working together.
I totally agree, and I think what we're seeing is in response to the shortage of just general talent, every organization fights or decides if it's going to have its own set of expertise. It's going to have its own engineers, it's going to have its own control specialist, a systems integrator, graphics guy. Then you get the accounting. What we're seeing here, Eric, is an evolution where the people that have these staffs are hungry to keep their people at work and putting their talents to work, and they're solving the issue that the other organizations can't hire their own engineering team, so they start to use the resources of a different company. And in the old days, it was taboo. It was some kind of a cultural barrier where you'd never share secrets, and because that's what it boils down to. I mean, like you say, the integrity economy. It's hard to give people your customer lists and give your secret sauce away, or share your secret sauce to somebody that could feasibly turn around, stab you in the back, and take advantage of your critical intelligence.
Right. Well, I think you get away with that once, Kenny, and
I agree.
Then it gets out. But I tell you what, I mean, put it in perspective. As distributors, I think having the lowest price isn't enough anymore. I mean, I don't even think you have to have the lowest price. I think you better be creating the market. And for years, we've talked about, I think Honeywell coined this term, make market and take market, right? Take market is basically, I've got it in stock, I'll sell it, the product's already installed. The make market, which is we're going to go out, we're going to create the market, we're going to get your products, we're going to help sell your products. That's a completely different thing. And I think as a distributor, you better be damn good at make market if you're going to survive.
Yeah, you're the social media aspects of it. You're so correct that the first time I actually bumped into that was the VA hospitals, where a contractor had really upset the apple cart and got an engineer upset to the point where he went to what they call the well, which links all the VA hospitals in the country. One single email poisoned this guy's career, poisoned his business, because he was no longer allowed to work in the VA hospitals. And then the second time I saw it was the Allegheny Intermediate. So if you do good business, social media now can put you in the limelight and get you more business, and that's where you want to go. If you do something that upsets a customer, or you do the job correct or whatever, the same thing can happen. The consequences that you can get blackballed there, or whatever it's called, and basically it taints your opportunities for future work with a whole set of customers.
Well, I think that's true, Kenny, and I think you mentioned earlier one of the really refreshing things that we're seeing is more consulting engineers that are showing up at meetings like Realcomm IBCon and the Niagara Summit. Donnie Walker from Newcomb & Boyd is one of what I would dub the new breed of enlightened engineers. And these are the guys that cut and paste, forget it, they're not going to do it. They're really looking to create value for their customers. And these are the guys that, if good's better, better as possible, good's not enough. They're looking for open solutions for their clients. Again, Donnie Walker, I think, epitomizes that. We see him from Newcomb & Boyd's big engineering firm here in Atlanta. But hey, Kenny, one of the things that we really love is the more meetings I'm going to, the more consulting engineers are coming up and introducing themselves to us and saying, hey, they listen to the show. So you and I are going to dub these guys the alliance or the consortium of enlightened engineers, because they're showing up. And one such engineer is Tim Howe. He came up and introduced himself. He is from Page, Sutherland, and Austin, Texas, and there's a link on the website. You can just see how prolific these guys are. So, want to just say a special shout out to Tim. We really appreciate him, and people like him. So Kenny, sort of what are your thoughts on the consulting engineer community and what's going on with that?
Well, the second we talked about Realcomm, IBCOM being a heck of a place to go to for getting a whole lot of information, like getting the cliff notes on the industry and the innovation every year. Same's true with the summit. And the summit, in my opinion, probably had the strongest cast of systems engineer and building consultants, consulting firms, every type of engineer. There was civil engineers, electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, and they come there to get this new technology spelled out to them. And you're right, this the gentleman, Tim Howe, was a lot of fun because I like the humble nature. In other words, these guys are bright to begin with. They're all successful engineers, but they come and they're ready to learn about what's going to go on. And so when you have these enlightened engineers out there putting down the specs and enforcing the specs, and then we work to meet those specs and the contractors complete those specifications, we have happy users, we have happy owners, we have buildings that are efficient, we're reducing the carbon footprint, everybody goes home happy, But if you don't, like Jim Young always says, keep pace or get out of the way. Some the issues could be that the engineering community doesn't put enough emphasis on the building automation side of stuff. They reuse specifications that are outdated, or they take somebody's spec and just put it in as the base bid, and just say here's this manufacturer, here's this equipment manufacturer, and then then the fight begins, to see if we can meet the spec and integrate to the spec. It's just it's a mess. If the engineers continue to be enlightened and do a great job, it makes everything work. That's the key.
Right. No, absolutely, for sure. And there are a ton of them out there. I mean, and we want to meet you. So if you're sort of listening to Control Trends, the Smart Buildings podcast, or you see us at a conference, please introduce yourself. We want to make sure that our community knows about you. Because I think, as we talk about the smart building controls renaissance, Kenny, which, I think we're in the midst of that right now. We are really going to need some enlightened controls engineers to lead us through that. And again, guys like Tim, Donnie Walker, we got another one coming up later in the show. We will would love to interview you, would love to make sure our community knows about you. So reach out, because I think part of the game right now is, Kenny, you can go try to find clients, or you can be found, and we will help you be found. All right, buddy. Speaking of being found, you caught up with one of your old buddies at Niagara Summit, didn't you?
I sure did, Matt Kruger. And we've known Matt long time. He used to wear a different jersey. It reminds me like professional football teams. The wide receiver from Dallas Cowboys now playing for the Cleveland Browns, and the guy that used to work for the Green team is now working for the Viconics team. But he is just an incredible, customer support guy. I mean, we before we did the interview here, this was at the Niagara Summit as well. So this is a little bit. When was that? April? Yeah, April.
It was in April or May. I don't know.
May. But anyhow, it seems like it was just yesterday because Viconics is still a leader with this zone controller, room controller, thermostat, whatever you want to call it. And Matt does a great job talking about this VT8000 series because I learned something there. They've added another feature. So this Viconics unit provides a very cost-effective alternative to the digital controls to control rooftop units, heat pumps, and indoor air quality applications. So one, dramatically reduces your installation costs and commissioning costs because one controller has these four functions. So it has room temperature, humidity, occupancy, and now CO2. And what's crazy about that is you can add the CO2 card, the baby board or daughter board, onto the motherboard in the field. So I get such a kick out of so we have had several applications where first you put the room controller on just to get control of the equipment. Then you say, let's add the occupancy, so you buy a different cover. Let's add the CO2 sensor, so you just add the board. You take out the wireless Zigbee COM board and you put in the CO2 board, and you've got this all functioning in one device. So I just really, truly admire some of the genius things that Viconics has done to make that thermostat just so formidable and you can do all the commissioning right there at the device. You don't need to have you don't need a laptop, and you don't need to be connected. But of course, it can connect very easily, using BACnet to your building automation.
Well, no, I think it's cool, and Viconics has done very well at the Controltrends Awards in the past, Kenny. Thermostat of the Year, very flexible. They make a lot of stats for other people that name brand them, so these guys do very cool stuff. But hey, let's get back to smarts again, and we had another Enlightened Controls engineer, a guy from up in your neck of the woods, somebody you knew, right? Came up and introduced himself, Controltrends viewer and Controltalk Now Smart Buildings podcast listener. Tell us about our next post, Kenny.
Love to, Eric. Love to. Let me get him up on the screen here. It's James M. Birch, and he's actually from Ohio, and I've heard of him before I met him. So he's another one of those guys that really likes his work. He really likes energy, and he's got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 certifications after his name. So he's a certified demand side management. It's all about energy. The Association of Energy Engineers gives out credentials that once you complete, it's very expensive and it's very time consuming. So just looking at those credentials means he's got probably 10 to 12 years invested in learning about energy and doing it to become certified. He's also Honeywell EEO certified, which your good friend Mr. Joel, he knows Mark very well, and they do things together. But Jim's a really serious, earnest engineer. He really believes in the specification. It's like a Bible to him. And so he believes that, he has to go to meetings like this, and he has to stay on top of things because he wants to make sure that when he writes a specification, it's ironclad and it's innovative, it's new, it's got all the technology that's necessary. He's particularly interested in energy. So he believes that the new thing is going to be this big data and data analysis. So data analytics will continue to grow in significance and value as it becomes easier to access and to be filtered for effect. In other words, just like you always say, or Ken St. Clair says, that there's too much information out there. You need somebody to sift through all the sources of information. Just like with data, you have so much data, it becomes overwhelming and you're not very effective. But now that you can get these different programs, have different features to them, he wants to make sure he includes them into his specification. So he's very humble, very knowledgeable, just a nice guy, and he's very ambitious. So he's a young guy out of Mason, Ohio. Oh no, I'm sorry, Marion, Ohio. The company's called Interactive Energy LLC, and he's got a couple of. He has one very large national account, so he's doing something right because you don't get those kind of accounts very easily. You gotta prove your worth. And again, he's ambitious and he's young, so it's very exciting. Like you say, the Enlightened Engineers, because to hear them talk, it looks like we got a good future because these guys really dig what they do. They do it well, and they stay on top of it.
So they do, Kenny. And so James, welcome to the consortium, the alliance of Controltrends and Enlightened Engineers. We're just making that up. So. But we appreciate guys like James. And again, thank you for introducing yourself to us, Kenny. One of the things I love most about these conferences is we get to meet people that are part of our community, that listen to us on the Smart Buildings podcast, listen to us on the podcast, or watch us on the video cast. So Kenny, we had one more post this week, which was the controls guys, our friend from Honeywell, Larry Andrianis. And we caught up with Larry at the Niagara Summit, and what's your take on Larry, man? He's a cool guy. We call him the controls guy for a reason.
Well, he's been in the business a long time and started out as a contractor, worked with his father. He actually worked. He had a very good position in a manufacturing company where they're making circuit boards, I believe, and it was just too boring for him. He needed something more challenging and more demanding. And ask and you shall receive, huh? Because he's in charge of Honeywell's sales efforts for North America, and he knows the business inside out. Because again, having that contractor background, you can't bullcrap somebody that knows that business that well, and by the same token, he can represent the contractor's interests without any problem. He knows what the issues are, and he can help Honeywell deal with them. So they put together. He's two guys in one. He wears two hats. He does distribution real well, but he's very formidable as far as the contractor version of the story. And I think he's doing a great job. It's a lot of fun.
He's a great guy. Larry's a great guy. If you ever get a chance to meet Larry, he's a fantastic guy. He, but like I said, he did it. He started in the business. He knows what it's like to be up on a roof, calling tech support, and them go, "Hey, have you read the manual yet?" It's like, so he understands that. I think he's been such an asset for Honeywell, Kenny. I mean, Honeywell's got a cool product, and I think part of his message here is that, people that are maybe on the bubble about going to Niagara 4, Honeywell's, I think he says, has done more installations of those than anybody else. So he feels really confident how well that works with the Honeywell system. And he's kind of saying, come on in the water. It's warm. It feels good. So got to check that out. Hey, dude, speaking of checking out, man, I tell you what, it's 4th of July, man. You and I got to get busy. And
well, you brought up something. I was going to throw it there real quick because Honeywell just came up with a. Did you see that offer that they're giving to encourage people to jump onto the Niagara 4 bandwagon? There's a 10%. Where is that?
Well, I'll tell you what, Kenny, we'll just put it in the show notes. So we'll find out. We'll put a link in the show notes for that for the people. But needless to say, Honeywell's out. They're being aggressive. They're getting stuff done. So that's some cool stuff. So Kenny, with that, I tell you what, we probably got to wrap it up here. A special thanks to our sponsors, Johnson Controls and Belimo. Be sure to check them out. And no guests this week, but boy, did we have a good time in San Jose. So thanks to everybody we saw out there and all the interviews we got to do out there. Kenny, we got a bunch more. We probably got 2 weeks worth of interviews. I think I got 120 gigs worth of interviews we did. So we'll have a lot of those coming up over the next couple of weeks. And so with that, buddy, all I have to say to you is have a great week. And to our listeners and viewers out there, be bold and stay in control.
Indeed, Eric.
Indeed, Kenny Myers. All right, big dog. Woo!
Yeah, now I find it's Steve the Ghost. But